I am the most tired than I am for the rest of the year. This is easily the most preparation I've ever done in the month of December. For the last 7 years now, for the last 7 Decembers, I've prepared for exams and many papers, more than I care to remember. But I'm also preparing to go back home and to be with my family. And I'm also preparing to celebrate the season with you here. And we all do this. We prepare our homes, we decorate trees, we wrap presents, we bake many good things to eat, and frankly, it wears me out. And with all my struggling during this time, I realize that this is a holy time, a time of reflection and preparation for the coming of the Lord. And I've always known that this time has been called Advent, but I've never belonged to a church that really celebrated it, at least the way I find that this church does. Now, growing up, I always had an Advent calendar, and I love the chocolates. But it was a story that was told over the course of several weeks, several days, that for me it was just a story as a child. And then I came to church and we lit an Advent wreath, but to me it was just more candles. And I had never taken the time to truly consider what Advent meant as a time of preparation. And I can blame it on various things, the numerous exams I've had that kept me from focusing on anything other than school, or the fact that when I was a child I was focused on the chocolates and the calendar. But I took this time and really thought about how peculiar Advent is for Christians. Because it's the time just before Christmas in which we are preparing for Jesus' birth. And we talk about it as if it's in the future. We say, Jesus is coming. But as Christians, we know that Jesus has already come. This is how we are Christians. So we are looking forward to the future by remembering the past. And that's a peculiar attribute for people to do. And so I thought about that. What does this mean to prepare for Jesus by anticipating an event a few weeks into the future, in this remembrance of our history, of something meaningful to us? And then I read the story in Mark and realized how this is even more different, even more peculiar. Because we have in Mark a story of Jesus' coming after Jesus has already been born. And I thought it was odd to read in Advent, when we're preparing for Jesus' birth, a story that happens after that, and yet still have the message that Jesus is coming. And so here, when we talk about Jesus' coming in Mark, we're talking about the start of Jesus' ministry. And I think this is something to be celebrated as well with Advent. But we have to understand, how do we prepare ourselves in this time? When we celebrate Christ's birth, that we also celebrate Christ's ministry and Christ's life. I consider that this is something like when John the Baptist is saying Jesus is coming. It's about like when we have prepared our homes to receive guests and we see them pull up into the driveway and say, they're here. They're not really here, but we know that they're right out there. That they are here without being present in our homes. And so this is, as John the Baptist, I believe, would say, that Jesus is coming with the notion that Jesus is already here, or at least on this earth. And so, when we talk about Jesus is coming, what do we really mean? Because in Advent, we have said, I think we're most likely to talk about Christmas. But outside of Advent, there's an eschatological meaning, in which we talk about the end times, in which Jesus will come back and establish the kingdom of heaven on earth. And I think that's something we certainly look forward to. But that is a different way of meaning that Jesus is coming. And so in Advent, do we take that away? Or do we add to that in our preparation? And frankly, I do appreciate Christmas as it is, with the many bright lights, the Christmas tree, the star in the sky. I appreciate it all except for the night that falls around 4:30 in the evening. The lights really help brighten that up a bit. Although we do have a beautiful winter scene outside, and I do appreciate that.